Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another live today, and I'll just wait for a minute or two to make sure people can see me or hear me. And good, okay, we're getting the crowd on. Nick, how are you? Wendy, Eric, and Jane. Good to have you on with us this afternoon. Lee, good afternoon to you. Okay, so those folks who will listen to this, of course, on a podcast later, wonder why I'm talking about time. But Jeanette, how are you? Roland, Marin, and good. We got a good crowd on. I'm surprised a little bit because I'm so used to doing it. Linda, how are you? Good to have you on with us this morning here. I'm just going to flip Diane and Diane Pronovo, that's your birthday today. Well, happy birthday to you. Good to have you on. Okay. Fatima, how are you? Catherine from BC. Yeah, probably a little bit better time for you guys out in BC, out in the West Coast, right? Will and Tracy and Joan from PEI. Charmine, Johanna, okay, and Donna, so many, Lori, and Glenda. I know I'm going to miss people, so I'll come afterwards and say hi to you. Vera, how you doing? Rosura, that's nice. Manik and Paula, Sylvie, Manik. Okay, Jeanette, we live in strange times, don't we? We live in strange times, you know. Oftentimes I get criticized, not from you guys, of course, but you know, from sometimes you know, on Facebook or whatever, because I admit it, I'm a little bit controversial. I don't deny that. I usually pretty well go against the grain of how to eat and what to do, and you know, I'm a little bit different. I admit that, but of course, I'm not apologizing for it. I'm just saying that, you know, and I understand that, you know. But I had one physician that was sort of coming after me, and you know, I found it a little bit funny because the, you know, I one of the complaints was that. You know, I was putting this person on a very high fat diet, and that was dangerous. Well, I just reminded the physician. I said, well, you're the one that's doing the blood work. Do the blood work and compare it before and after. Look at their triglycerides. Look at their HDL. Look at their fatty liver. Look at their glucose. Look at their levels. Look at their C-reactive protein. They're all getting better. Why are you upset that I'm using food as medicine? It seems, you know, it seems strange that we even have to justify using food as medicine. But today I wanted to talk to you because there was a study out, let me just read it, about cholesterol. And here it is. New study showing people with high LDL, especially people over the age of 65. People in this study, people that with a high LDL live longer. Now there's a whole industry out there that's trying to lower your LDL. So let me just break it down for a second, okay? First of all, this is facts, 75% of the people that have a heart attack have normal cholesterol within normal limits, 75%. Since the late 70s and the early 80s, there has been a concentrated effort by medicine, the pharmaceutical industry, and the food industry. It started before that, but a real concentrated effort where the cardiologists, a whole section of medicine, cardiology, decided that heart disease was caused by cholesterol. And as I've said to you many a time, well, it's not working. This whole branch of medicine, if they were any other business, if they were in the sports business, they'd have got fired already. Imagine a coach every year having a losing record. You're going to get fired. You can't, but, and again, I love cardiologists, okay? I do. But they're looking for love in all the wrong places. The study is showing that if you have low LDL, which is supposed to be the bad cholesterol, you're going to live longer. It goes against everything they teach today in medical school. It goes against everything that is taught. Even in our society, that cholesterol is the boogeyman, especially LDL, low density lipoprotein. So let me reiterate, 75% of people that have a heart attack have normal cholesterol. So cholesterol can't be the cause. It just can't be. And you would think there'd be some kind of royal commission that would study all this and look at these statistics and say, okay, guys, we're not getting the bang for the buck that we're spending on heart disease like we should. And I don't want to say that there is a conspiracy so that people won't be accusing me of being a conspiracy, guy, saying there's a conspiracy, but I want to tell you it's very difficult to change things in medicine. It's I'm not saying it's impossible, but it often takes several generations to get this ingrained thinking out of their heads and to change it. And the problem is the pharmaceutical industry is a huge industry. It is one of the biggest, most influential industries in the world today. And one of the proofs I will use for you is that the pharmaceutical industry cooked the books even during COVID. And they had a very prestigious article about the, poo-pooing the malarial drug and pushing rather an expensive treatment for COVID that cost about $1,000 a pop. And and you know where I come from. I've been emphasizing from day one, the most important thing that you can do is vitamin D. Do you know that today there was a paper sent, it was a letter actually sent to the College of Physicians and Surgeons in the United States, requesting, it was 50 doctors who signed it, requesting that the College of Physicians and Surgeons would put pressure on the government to start giving out vitamin D. Now, don't hold your breath. Even though the research on vitamin D and this virus is incredible. I talked to you about it many a time. But coming back to what I'm saying, okay? So what do I look for? What's important to me, and to me, what is science in terms of heart disease and stroke is, first of all, lowering your triglycerides. Now, guys, this is done, the two most important things are done without medication. Of course, they're not going to get any ink. Even the mainstream media, they won't cover this stuff. They make a lot of money from the pharmaceutical industry that advertise with them. And I'm not saying all pharmaceutical things are bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that when you want to lower your risk of heart disease, guys, the number one killer still today in our society, you need to lower, number one thing you need to do is lower your triglycerides. It's not cholesterol, it's triglycerides. 3 fat balls, and it's food. In order to lower your triglycerides, and we've known this since the 1950s, you must lower your carbohydrates. You must lower carbohydrates. That's how you lower triglycerides. Now, there's a new medication on the market called Visipa. But even they tell you they can lower your triglycerides with this fish oil, a very specific fish oil, but also you got to do the diet too, they say. You got to reduce your carbs. It's science, guys. What elevates triglycerides are carbohydrates and sugars. Simple as that. It's not rocket science. It's science, but it's not rocket science. Triglycerides are formed when the liver is full, when the suitcase is full, when the Costco parking lot is full, when it's full of sugar that is stored as glycogen. The body rids the liver as much as it can by creating triglycerides. 3 fat balls that circulate in your blood. So number one, you must lower something. Carbs, not fat, not protein, carbs. That's what creates triglycerides. Secondly, you must increase. One, you decrease carbs. Second, you need to get your HDL, high density lipoprotein, up. You got to get that up. And it's food, the thing that gets HDL up. Now, fish oil gets HDL up too. Exercise helps to get HDL up. But generally, it's by eating fat. Yeah. So if you get that one up, you get the other one down, you've done the lion's share of work to diminish your risk of heart attacks and strokes. Of course, we've talked about the legion of other things that happens when you do that. You empty out your liver, you no more fatty liver, you're saving your insulin, you're getting rid of insulin resistance, you're lowering your markers of inflammation. All those things are happening too at the same time. I really go into great detail in the book, The Metabolic Reset. Okay? So what is LDL? What's it got to do with anything? Not much. Your body makes it. Your body makes it. But it's not the one that's made from food. Your body, remember, like I've always, my saying is God doesn't trust you enough to eat enough cholesterol. And cholesterol, by the way, is found only in the plant kingdom? Nope. Animal kingdom. Cholesterol is only found in the animal kingdom. It's not found in plants. Does that make plants bad? No, of course not. But it makes animal fat or animal food very important. You got to make up that 15%, guys. You gotta. Your liver will make 85% of it. But you need to make up the other 15%. That's where you can influence the state of your blood vessels. Someone was asking me online the other day, how do you get plaque? You see, where LDL got into trouble. Okay? LDL got into trouble years ago because they found LDL close to or even part of an infarct. You know what I'm saying by that? You know where you get a damaged blood vessel and a blockage? And right there is LDL. Oh, and they said, oh, well, no wonder. The LDL, no. It's like blaming the firemen because they're at the fire. Are they the bad guys? Are the police the bad guys because they're at a crime scene? They're not the bad guys. They're the good guys. They happen to be there. The plaque is made up of triglycerides. And the inflammation that's created when you eat a bad diet and your insulin is up and you start damaging, sugar damages the little epithelial layers of your blood vessel, the Teflon on your blood vessels. It's not slippery anymore. You need to put more butter there. Make it slippery. Put good oils, not bad oils, good oils. Make your blood vessels slippery. I always tell people you should be eating enough oil to slide out of rooms. But you see, LDL got caught at a crime scene, and because of that, they created a whole generation of medications to lower it. They're called statin drugs. Crestor, Lipitor, Zocor. And Lipitor was the #1 selling medication of all time. And they found out that Lipitor, Crestor, Zocor will take your LDL down. Woohoo, the cardiologist said. Woohoo, the pharmaceutical industry said. We'll take your cholesterol. will take that LDL right down. They can do it. And you know what they're finding? It doesn't work. And how many people, I bet you even listening to this podcast, this live Facebook, how many people have taken statin drugs in their lifetime? A lot of people would put their hand up and say, I did. And guys, you're not going to hear me tell you not to take them. I'm just here to give you information. So you can, information is power. You can make decisions. My specialty is food. Clinical nutrition. What does food do to your body? Good, bad, and ugly. It's quite a science. It's quite a science. And the one thing you can control, you can't control everything in life. I'll tell you, if someone would have told me, people did tell me. I remember my son, he's much more of a prophet than I am. He was telling me back in late February and early March, he said, Dad, the world's going to go crazy with this thing. Nah, I said, nah, it won't do it. We won't close anything down, and no way. And I was arguing with him. He was trying to tell me to come home from Florida in March, and I was telling my son, why? I'm not coming home. What are you kidding me? He was right. If you would have told me what was going to happen in 2020, I would have bet dollars to donuts that I was right and you were wrong. I didn't believe it. So you can't control everything in life. You can't. You find that out. But one thing you can control is what you put in your mouth every day. And I know that I am preaching to the choir today, but I want to tell you, with all the experience I've had, thousands and thousands and thousands of patients who have clinically, from blood pressure to fatty liver to high blood pressure to kidney stress and damage to inflammation and leaky gut and whatever. Look, guys, food is the best medicine. Almost everything you eat today. We live in a different world, so I tell people, look, there's very little neutral foods. Foods are either good for you or they're bad for you. And I break it down to make it easy. It's not that complicated. I tell people, get your sugars down. Cut them out if you can. Cut them out. If you never have another ounce of sugar, sugar is toxic. Sugar is toxic. Sugar is the new smoking. So I tell people, look, you want to help yourself? It will help your cholesterol. It'll help your triglycerides. It'll help your inflammation. It'll help your gut. It'll help your brain. It'll help your heart. It'll help your kidneys. It'll help all of it. Okay, what is that? Cut out sugar. Just do that. Cut it out. Oh, Dr. Mike, you can't cut it out. I like it. I didn't say you didn't like it. I'm telling you that the disaster that's coming if you don't. Do you think people get away with it? No, they don't get away with it. They don't get away with it. Oh yes, I got an aunt that lived till 110, and she had, candies every day, and you know what? Come on. I know that people smoke and they're 80 years old and they get away with it, but not many. The statistics are very clear. If you have elevated insulin, You have metabolic syndrome, which is 88% of the population, by the way. 88% of the population is metabolically unwell. Not according to Dr. Martin, but according to the CDC. 88%. There's only 12% of the population that have healthy biomarkers. So if you do nothing else, cut out your sugar. And then cut out crappy carbs. Crappy carbs. Especially the ones that are made with seed oils, the vegetable oils. They're highly inflammatory, omega-6. I just read a study this afternoon, a new study on the damaging effects of omega-6, of high levels of omega-6 compared to omega-3, and those are found in the seed oils, canola, and safflower, and sunflower, and all these, margarine. Ooh, I hate that stuff. Get back, guys, to nature. Study after study after study will show you high levels of omega-3, steak, fish. That's good for you. So if you cut back, and I know a lot of people have cut out sugar, they just don't have sugar. They read every label, they get used to it, they form a habit, and now they don't eat sugar anymore. You know how many people? I tell you, I remember even in the grocery store meeting up with patients. I hadn't seen them in 20 years or whatever. And they said, "Doc, how are you?" I'm surprised they recognized me. And they said, "You told me to cut out sugar. And I did 20 years ago. And it's the best thing I ever did." Well, hallelujah. I'd give them a high five right in the grocery store. I didn't do it. They did it. They did it. And like I said, it's always a substitution. You cut out sugars and you increase your animal products. Okay? You cut out the crappy carbs and the omega-6s and elevate your good cholesterol. Eat cholesterol, eggs, meat, and cheese. It'll be the best thing you ever did. And it's for everyone, by the way. Everyone. So isn't it an interesting study, right, on LDL? You want to get your LDL down? You're not going to live long. It's what they're showing. You want to go after the bad guy? You go after triglycerides. That's the bad guy that you want to go after, not your LDL cholesterol. Your LDL cholesterol is on your side. But even more important is getting that HDL to go up. So I always tell people, look, if you have a cardiologist or whatever, nutritionist or dietitian, and they tell you to eat oatmeal over eggs, run. You got any kind of doctor, any kind of practitioner, any kind of dietitian or whatever, if they tell you to eat oatmeal over eggs, run. You remember what we did a few podcasts ago? We did the M&Ms. You remember that? You want a bowl of oatmeal, and even, Doc, it's steel cut oatmeal. I don't care. It's not better than an egg. Not better than an egg. It's not better than bacon. I still have to convince people that bacon is good for them. And then and it's a good question. Listen, I don't minimize this question at all. So please, when I have a little smile on my face, it's just because, I get asked this a lot. So I love your feedback. Okay, so I had a lady on the other day, and as I'm going to say hi to folks afterwards, right? I try and thank them I really do thank you guys for watching. But this one lady said, well, what about, my doctor said, you can't have all this animal product because of hormones. Well, look, if you have cash and you can afford it, I highly recommend organic. I highly recommend grass-fed. I highly recommend free-range chickens, and listen. It's not like I don't know this stuff. Of course I know it, and you won't hear me talking about it that much because I'm talking to a large audience. Like, we've had over 2 million downloads of our Facebook. You understand, of Facebook and our podcast. So, look, I always tell people, well, it's the same thing with vegetables, right? What do you mean by that? Well, unless you're getting organic, your vegetables are being sprayed. Herbicides, pesticides. Everything is sprayed. Strawberries are sprayed. Everything's sprayed today. So, look, of course I understand. But look, it depends. Like, for people, I say, look, I can prove it to you, by the way. I don't care what kind of meat you eat. I'm still going to lower your triglycerides, and I will elevate your HDL. I don't care what kind of meat it is. I don't care what kind of steak it is, what kind of roast beef it is. I don't care. In terms of clinically getting those numbers where I want them, that's what I'm saying. We don't live in a perfect world. Sure, grass-fed beef is better than, beef that's not grass-fed, that's grain-fed. I understand that. But I can lower your numbers anyways. That's all I'm saying. Please. That's all I'm saying. So you don't hear me talk about that much. But it's not because I don't understand it. It's just that I'm trying to accomplish, my objective is to get people to be healthy. And I think Tony Jr. said it the best, and I'm just going to close with this. Tony Jr. said it the best. He said, you're on the Titanic. Don't worry about the deck chairs. Once you change course, then you can rearrange the furniture on the Titanic. Isn't that good? So if you want to go organic, well, first of all, change course. And then, do some decorating on the interior decorating or exterior decorating on the Titanic. I love that. I said, son, you're smart. You're like your mother. No, I really do. She said, yeah, focus on the big thing first. Turn the ship around. You're going to hit an iceberg. And some people already have hit the iceberg. Okay. You understand where I'm coming from? Okay. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Now, listen. If you can, and I meant to do this right at the start, if you want to scroll and let me know if this is a good, obviously for some people, this is a good time, Thursday afternoon. Look, Thursday morning, I want to get away from the morning program, but I'd like to do one on Thursday like I did today. Can you let me know, in your opinion, look, and I know there'll be different ones, what's a good time? And then we'll just try, like if you find this is a good time, it's a good time for me too. Okay? So let me know about that if you can. Doesn't have to be necessarily today, but if you can let the girls know, let Jeanette, Nicole, or Brandy or whatever, let them know. Or let me know here today what's a good time for you, okay? If this was a good time or some other time. Because we want to take that into account, obviously. Okay, guys, love you guys. Tomorrow is question and answer, so if you have any questions, please send them in. There's still time. Happy to try and answer all your questions. If you haven't signed up to the Martin Clinic Facebook group, the private group, fantastic community on Facebook, join us. Thanks for all the feedback in there, by the way, and it's been really, really good. And Tony Jr. and I would like to thank you for the enormous success of the launch of our new book. Thank you. Way beyond what we thought. And I mean that. Right now, we were given a tranche by the publisher, and we promise they promise to have another big portion of books sent to us, probably for right after Christmas and in the early New Year. Okay, but thank you very, very much. We sold out. I couldn't believe it for all the books that we had temporarily, but we got some more coming. Okay, so we just want to thank you for supporting us in that way. We love it. Okay, love you guys. Talk to you soon.